State of Louisiana. He was elected in 2015 and took office in January of 2016. He also ran for the Plaquemines Parish President in 2006 after Hurricane Katrina and was a leader in the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010, and now he works as the Commissioner of the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. Mr. Nungesser.
Thank you. I need a little step here. I feel short behind here. Thank you all for having me today. It's great to be with you. So I thought I would go through pretty quickly all the great things we're doing in tourism, and then, of course, take questions, and we can talk a little politics, which is always fun. So do I need to point this a certain way? All right. So, you know, prior to COVID, we had enjoyed 5 years of record-breaking numbers. Every year, we knocked it out the park. 2019, over 53 million people visited Little Old Louisiana, and they left behind $1.9 billion in taxes you and I didn't have to pay. That's over $1,100 per Louisiana family. So it's big business. It was the fourth biggest industry. I believe we've slipped to 5 because of COVID, but we're just getting started rebuilding that industry to get back to those record-breaking numbers. And we knew coming out of COVID, we had to do some things differently. Every state has doubled or tripled their tourism budget because they saw how much value it was to their state. Mississippi tripled, Tennessee doubled theirs. And we knew we were competing against everybody for those tourism dollars. So thinking outside the box was so important to do things a little differently. And one of those things that we did was the Super Gator and the Macy's Parade. I hope y'all all saw it this week. Incredible. The first year, John Batiste stole the show. And I'll tell you, the week leading up to the parade, this was on every screen. I didn't go this year, but last year, when this came on the screens in Times Square, everybody stopped and looked up and saw that eye looking around. It's back. And so we really got a lot of publicity. This thing knocked it out the park. It reached over 2.5 billion people. And our commitment for this float was $1.3 million for 3 years. We got our money back tenfold the first year, and we've got another year to go. This works so incredibly well, and there again, we make sure we request a Louisiana musician. It's very important that we highlight that unbelievable talent. You know, John Batiste last year stole the show, Trombone Shorty this year, and then it worked so well. Last year, we said, let's go out to Pasadena, see if we can get a float in the Rose Parade. Well, they had never had a state, and they were only taking 3 new floats. So we went out there and walked in, and the lady had a pin on it. It said, Dream, Believe, Achieve. And I asked the lady, what does that pin mean? She said, well, that's our theme this year. And she said, Mr. Nungesser, will you be riding with us? I had to think quick. I said, no, ma'am, I won't. But we're going to put a teacher of the year, a police officer, a nurse, a doctor that risked their life during COVID, a volunteer, the Cajun Navy, Miss Louisiana. We're going to put all the good of Louisiana. And, ma'am, you know, everybody's been through COVID, but Louisiana got hit with the 2 worst hurricanes. We could really use a little shot in the arm, no pun intended. This would really be a boost for Louisiana if we could get a float in this year. And she said, I have one other question. Does everyone in Louisiana have that much passion? I said, yes, ma'am, everybody does. And so we got one of the 3 floats in. We won Best Floral and Best Entertainment. And we found a little old lady in Pasadena, true story. She has a beignet truck. So we hired her, and she comes in the den and feeds everybody decorating all the floats from 5 to 9 hot beignets every morning. We stole the show. So all the press and international press is around our float wanting to eat beignets and learn about Louisiana. So this year we decided we were going to do something a little differently. It's going to be a giant riverboat to highlight the river cruises up the river, to talk about that. And we decided that we would take fair and festival queens from all over Louisiana to represent all the good that goes on in Louisiana, the cotton, the peach, seafood, and let these young ladies interview with national, international press about why they love their town, their city, and to talk passionately about all the areas of Louisiana. We also, Shreveport will have a young lady that survived a rare cancer to honor Shriners Hospital. This is their 100-year anniversary, and to once again, highlight such a great establishment that started right here in Louisiana and highlight all the great things that hospital has done. She will be riding on the float as well to talk about that hospital and the 100 years and all the lives and great things they've done. But this is the float being built. And look, if you want to make a trip of a lifetime, you come out there. We got a shuttle from the hotels that'll bring you. You can come help decorate the float. These floats are decorated with all volunteers from 5 in the morning till 9, 10 at night. Some of them have started in their teenagers. They're in their 80s. But everything on this float is a weed, a seed. Even the street signs are rice dyed, has to be painted. No metal can be seen when that float is on the streets. Take a look at how this thing's being built. So that live feed will be going on through the whole construction, and that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. And they tell me the paddle wheel will actually turn in water, so we'll see. But it was a trip of a lifetime to see these passionate people decorating this float. For somebody like me, they just told me put those 8 roses in that circle and don't mess it up. But it's really a trip of a lifetime. Once again, we wanted to make sure we had a great Louisiana ambassador. So we submit 2 or 3 names and go back and forth. This year, Lainey Wilson was selected. And several weeks after we got the word that they selected her from Louisiana, she wins Country Artist, New Artist of the Year. What a great ambassador. Here's a little clip from her.
Hey y'all, it's Lainey Wilson. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to have been selected to be a tourism ambassador for my home state of Louisiana.
That voice.
I love everything about Louisiana. The crawfish, birthplace of jazz, Zydeco, agriculture, fishing, the drive-through daiquiri shop, Indian culture, Mardi Gras bayous, you name it, Louisiana has got it. Everywhere I go, I invite visitors to come and experience all that Louisiana has to offer. There is no better place to feed your soul. I'm also so excited to share that I'll be performing on the Louisiana Lt in the 2023 Rouge Parade on January 2nd. I cannot wait to showcase Louisiana on the worldwide stage. There's no party like Louisiana party. So meet me in Pasadena or watch it live at home. Celebrate the new year with me and Louisiana.
Yeah, she'll be a great ambassador. We're so lucky to have so many great ambassadors. Another thing we did this year, coming out of COVID, we knew that we had to put money behind every fair, festival, every event in every corner of the state because we couldn't afford, one, for any of them to fail, and secondly, getting back open the shops, the businesses, the restaurants, attractions. They have no money to market or advertise. So we wanted to make sure we made every event a success. A great example is the Strawberry Fest. They had seen decline in numbers because they compete against the French Quarter Fest in New Orleans. And they said, look, we can't have a bad year. We won't make it. So we committed that we would push it out on social media. We can track how many people open it. We kind of overdid it. They needed 100 to 200,000 people over 3 days to have a great success. At 500,000 people, they closed the highway. Everybody sold out of everything. And we've done that for every festival around the state. Our social media team does an incredible job of pushing out to those people that enjoy those kind of events. We also gave out attraction events over $900,000 direct to the local. They know how to best spend and promote. We also did another cooperative program, another $800,000, and then another $250,000 for swamp tours and different companies that are so important to tourism. One couple down in Morgan City had a Eagle tour that, since COVID, hadn't had a full boat. We went and shot a video and pushed it out. They sold out every weekend since. So we're going around the state videoing shops, attractions, restaurants, and pushing these videos out, not only in Louisiana, but to get people excited to learn about all these towns and communities all over Louisiana. And we're going to continue this until everybody's back 100%, because we know in a good year, many businesses fail. And coming out of COVID, the next 2 or 3 years are going to be critical that we do everything we can to help these fairs, festivals, attractions knock it out the park. Now, something else that was really, we were set back a little because of COVID, but I had gone to, when I first got elected, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, so I went out to Arizona to learn what was tourism all about. And Alabama got up and talked about the millions that go through the Civil Rights Trail in Alabama, and Mississippi got up. And before I got up to speak, I leaned over to Doug. I said, do we have a Civil Rights Trail? He said, I don't think so. I said, well, why not? He said, I don't know. Well, I got up and said, look, I don't think we have a Civil Rights Trail, but I'm going to find out why not. And talked a little bit about tourism. And when I came back home, we put a team together that did incredible work. They went around the state and had public meetings to find out that some of the real heroes of that movement started right here in Louisiana. Dr. Jones, 17 days out of law school, filed that suit. And to be able to, he's passed now, but we were able to get that marker up, see him put his finger on it, and start to cry. I'll never forget that moment. And Leona Tate, to talk about how she thought it was, saw police on horseback, she thought she was missing Mardi Gras. And her mom said, oh no, honey, there's no Mardi Gras parade, keep your head down. The Bogalusa March, put that marker up in Bogalusa on a hot August day to know at that same month that they marched 100+ miles to Baton Rouge. And we got a lot more work still to do. We've got another non-sites planned this year and next year, to start putting additional ones back up. But we're still discovering stories all over Louisiana. So if you know of someone or something we might have missed or haven't investigated yet, let us know. Here's a little tape they did to send out to different areas of the state to get people excited about telling their story.
Across Louisiana, civil rights markers have been uncovered and put on permanent display. From Camp Beauregard in Pineville to Baton Rouge's A.Z. Young Park. From Little Union Baptist Church in Shreveport to the Lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans. It's been a long time coming.
A dream come true. I have been dreaming about this so long. Never thought it would happen.
The fight for civil rights throughout Louisiana is teeming with stories, demonstrations, and at times painful events that are now embodied in these steel monuments.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser was inspired to create the Louisiana Civil Rights Trail after seeing a presentation in the U.S. Civil Rights Trail at a tourism conference in Arizona. He told me about 3 years ago that he noticed while many southern states had their own civil rights trail, he was embarrassed to find out that Louisiana did not.
And what began back in 2019 with an idea by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser has now manifested into 7 markers across the state, with many more planned.
We will continue to put them up as quickly as we can build them. And it's not going to be just for tourists. And then we'll bring tourists, busloads, as they come through the trail of Alabama, Mississippi. But it will also tell a story. And we will produce an educational program that can be downloaded in schools, in churches, and at home to tell this incredible story of heroes.
These markers came on the heels of more than 20 meetings and listening sessions from across the state. Countless hours of research, as well as more than 3,000 miles traveled to hear residents recall stories, places, and people that were on the front lines of Louisiana's efforts to create an environment of equal opportunity.
I'm glad he started here, and I just want him to realize that it's more politics out there. And we're depending on him to continue what he has started. We're very appreciative of what the Lieutenant Governor has done.
I thank him for putting us on the trail. That'll draw the visitors, and I'm really excited about that. I thank him so much. But kudos to Lieutenant Governor Nungesser for this effort. It's the most substantial one over the last 3 decades I've been engaged with, and I've been engaged with all of the efforts to try to honor the African American experience in Louisiana. And so this is substantial.
And now, on display for all to see and learn from.
This is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. If you'd like to nominate a site or learn more about the Louisiana Civil Rights Trail, go to LouisianaCivilRightsTrail.com.
So I'm also glad to announce that the Convention Center in New Orleans has agreed that we will put a permanent museum in the lobby there, where it will be kind of a kickoff point with all these markers where you can walk up and put your phone in and it'll play the video of what occurred there. And I'll tell you, at one of the meetings around the state, a lady stood up and said, you know, I got a real problem with you using this horrible time for tourism. And I went home that night and it really bothered me. And that's when we came up with the idea that I went back and visited with that lady and said, we're going to make it an educational program as well. And she goes, well, then I'm okay with it. Because we wanted to make sure this was a positive thing to talk about these heroes and occurrences. And we've done a couple. Our team has done Uniquely Louisiana, which you can download in schools about unique things in Louisiana. And one of the most successful ones was Homework Louisiana, where people can get tutored K through 12. You can download it in schools at home. And really, we saw that site usage go up 800% during COVID for kids to get tutored. So we're going to take this program and design it in the same fashion, so we'll be able to educate once we're finished the trail on all these occurrences and things that happen around Louisiana. Now, the Mississippi cruises up the river, because the low river, have been delayed. But we believe in working with these cruise lines that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see 10 to 12 boats on this river heading upriver. And that's very important for tourism, because usually you get on a cruise boat in New Orleans, you go out to sea, you come back and fly home. This gives us a real opportunity to stop these cruise lines in many sites. I've been working with many areas to get additional docks. Baton Rouge is going to need 3 docks to dock 3 at a time. They will get off, spend money and time. A great opportunity. And I'm really excited because we've always struggled to get people to the World Heritage Site, Poverty Point. It's hard to get people to make that drive. Well, now Viking Cruise Line is going to take a bus. They're going to dock in Mississippi and take bus loads. We bought a new tram. We're doing some improvements there. So finally, we'll get large groups to visit that World Heritage Site. But this is really going to be a game changer for large groups in St. Francisville and other places up the Mississippi, where we can add docks, as many as we can, to get those visitors off in many places in Louisiana before they head out of state. So another great opportunity for us to add tourism to many areas of the state. Now, another thing that we kind of got delayed that we were excited about kicking off right before COVID is the private-public partnerships in the state parks. When I got elected, Jay Darden said, Billy, you got to close 7 state parks. You don't have the money to keep them open. I'm like, well, Jay, why didn't you close them? He said, I was running for governor. I wasn't closing them. But we have a great team at the state parks, and we also got our local sheriffs involved statewide. All the sheriffs came out with work release people to help us clean up the bathrooms, fix some of the dangerous situations. And we not only kept them all open, but today, 7 are actually making a profit. And through our private-public partnership, I believe we will see a day when we won't need any tax dollars. Not only will we not need tax dollars, but these parks will generate millions of dollars that can be used for culture, recreation, and tourism, things that really struggle to get funding. And that's all that money we'll be able to use, so thanks to a bill the legislative passed to allow us to do this. I'll tell you just a couple of them, because we're looking for new ideas and people that want to do some investment in the parks, and you can make some money and we can make some money. One of them that we did this past year is glamping. It's a tent with a queen-size bed on a wooden platform. If you don't know if you want to go buy all this camping equipment, you want to try your luck before you invest in that, you can rent a site. We have one, you got to take a canoe out to an island. Another one, they give you bear spray. It's 3 miles back in the woods. I kind of like the one you can drive your car right up next to. But these have been wildly successful. As a matter of fact, they're all sold out, so we're adding sites. And I think we didn't put up any money for this, just a partnership. And we've brought in, I think, close to $500,000 to the state parks, our share already, and it continues to grow. Another thing that we did is we put a mountain bike trail in Boca Chica, and we brought a private horseback riding. You can rent a horse a half day, a whole day, and this mountain bike trail. And the thing I'm most proud of our team and what they've developed, in Washington Parish, the Washington Fair is a big draw. Other than that, it's not a real tourist attraction. Well, now, any weekend you go to that town, you'll see horse trailers or mountain bikes on top of cars. On one Saturday a few weeks ago, we had over 1,000 people from 11 states come to ride this mountain bike trail. It was just named the #2 trail in the country. Take a look. Whoop. That's the one I'd be on. Yeah, I don't know. But it has been a great success, and we're looking to do these and horseback riding at more parks. And we're also looking for people that might want to build some additional cabins and maybe split 80-20. We've got land along Lake Pontchartrain where we could surely use some additional cabins. We don't have to put up the money. We can take a small percentage and bring more people into our state parks. And we continue to look for these private partnerships. Whoop. There we go. So the Seafood Promotion Board is under my office. And it's a $2.5 billion industry in Louisiana that's had a lot of rough times. From we're still trying to get shrimp boats back in the water, we're blown in the marsh, the prices. I got a resolution passed as President Lieutenant Governors Association that we haven't introduced in Congress yet. What we hope to do is to introduce a bill that's asked the federal government to add a 5 to 10 cents a pound inspection fee on imported seafood. A lot of imported seafood comes in full of bacteria, and a lot of it gets rejected, and we inspect less than 5%. Several years ago, we quit using Chinese drywall because it made us sick, but we're eating that seafood. So we're hoping, my goal is to get enough, and all the lieutenant governors support it, and I'm hosting those lieutenant governors this week in New Orleans, and I will bring it up again, because when we introduce the bill, I want them each to ask their congressmen and senators to sign on as a sponsor. And I hope we can get enough sponsors to get it passed before the import lobbyists get a hold of it and kill it. And if we can do that, it'll be a new way to pass good legislation, because Republicans and Democrats alike believe in safe seafood. So hopefully we can get this bill passed. It'll give a little bump. It'll bring attention where we inspect about 50% of the seafood and make them either clean up their act or more would get rejected. Just one small thing we could do to help support the industry. I do want to mention something else, and I've been firmly against the diversions. And since I was parish president, we designed a berm 1,000 feet, 8 foot down to the marsh, certified by the Court of Lowest Storms 5 feet. As a matter of fact, the berm that President Obama approved, keep all out of the marsh, that was our plan. We don't need a 50-year coastal plan. If we don't rethink this to 3 to 5 years, 50 years, we'll be having the Grand Isle Fishing Rodeo here in Baton Rouge. And unfortunately, everybody, the money behind this thing has been unbelievable. But I'll tell you a couple of things you probably don't know. At 10:59 on a Friday night, when we all know Congress does the things they don't want you to know about, under Donald Trump, they got a waiver of the Marine Mammal Act. Never been done before for a large project. Instead of studying what this diversion is going to do to our seafood, to the quality of the marsh, they're going to monitor for 5 years after they spent over $2 billion. Wouldn't you want to know up front the damage you're going to do? Because even in their own report, they says 8,000-page document. Most people don't read it. In there it says irreversible damage to the seafood and fisheries. Irreversible. How bad is it going to be? We don't know because they got a waiver of doing the study. They're going to monitor for 5 years after they spend $2 billion. Who does that? Listen, we took this BP money and we threw it in a pot with not a lot of controls. And I'd go out on a limb and say we've wasted a good portion of it on projects that will not lower storm surge 1 inch. As a matter of fact, in Plaquemines Parish, there's one project they spent $40 million on. I went out 6 months later, it washed away. And they never tell you the mistakes we made. Ridges, forested ridges, they pumped one before Hurricane Betsy, that at South Pass. The only cattle to survive Katrina won that ridge. That's what we need to be doing. Lower storm surge, it is sustainable. It will be there after a hurricane, and those trees will grow back. But we better rethink our coastal plan into something that will lower storm surge. Imagine a 1,000-foot berm that is already certified 8 foot down to the marsh to lower storm to 5 feet. Build that along the coast. You're lowering your insurance rate. You're lowering storm surge to the levee, and we can do it in our lifetime. And if you're trying to lure business to Louisiana, what a great say. Look, we don't have to hold our breath for 50 years. We're going to see storm surge go down every year, not up. We don't have 50 years. The largest dead zone in the Gulf ever last year. Offshore, tidal movement's 15 feet every day. Mixes up that water. Nothing's out there because it's all dead. We're going to dump that same polluted water. It's not a freshwater diversion. It's a polluted river. We're going to dump that in the Barataria Basin where storm movements, where tidal surge is less than 2 feet, and we don't think it's going to kill everything? Mardi Gras Pass, when it blew out that levee, there's not an oyster on the east side and all you catch is fresh fish over there. Killed that whole area. And they'll tell you it built land. No, it dug an 80-foot hole, and that dirt that washed in the levee that they saying. And besides, a diversion cannot build land above the water line. It's impossible. So it will not lower storm surge. So why not pump and lower storm surge in our lifetime? It's something I think needs more attention. And for people to say, well, we can't change already. We already spent $200 million. Well, shame on you for spending money before you get a permit. Dr. Solange in Mississippi, who trains dolphins for the military. And there's a study by the St. Andrew Institute. It says if we build these diversions on the river, dolphins will be extinct within 50 years. It will kill 50% in the first 10 years. That's a fact. They're not denying that. Now, CPRA will tell you they're going to swim away. The reason you see those dolphins with sores all over their body, they're territorial. They're not leaving their home. Just not like you're not leaving your home. They die a horrible death. You want to make a great trip, go see the marine mammal facility in Gulfport. I went over there and spoke to the legislature. Mississippi is going to sue to stop the one on their side of the river because they know it will wipe out their seafood industry. And they can't imagine why Louisiana is staying the course. But if you look at the people that are making the money off of this, they're making the decisions. And everybody that writes these articles and says it's the best thing since sliced bread, from the Walton Foundation on down, we just want to do the right thing. And the common sense thing is to do what we can do to lower storm surge in our lifetime to protect and save our coast. So I'll get off my high horse with that. So I don't know if any of y'all got a chance to see the video that was uncovered by the Mardi Gras team out of Washington, Mardi Gras Ball. Some of the earlier, see, I'll play that for you. That's some of the footage that's in the museum, the Capitol Museum. We unveiled a new, a lot of people don't get a chance to go to the Mardi Gras Ball in Washington. So this is for a chance for them to see some of the early days where presidents came to that ball, some of the pictures and artifacts that go on in Washington on display at the Capitol Museum now. And it's a great exhibit and chance for people to see these new films that were uncovered. They found them in archives, so it's the first time they were ever seen. So it's a great opportunity to see what goes on at the Mardi Gras Ball if you can't afford to make that trip. We've been working over the last several years to fix the museum system. And we did a study. What is the best way for the museum system to be all it can be in Louisiana? And it came back and said, first, I'm willing to give up control of the director. You see, ever since that was taken away from the museum board, a lot of the private money, they don't want to give it to a politician. Let the boards hire their own director. But also, the people in Shreveport don't care about the Cabildo. The people in New Orleans don't care about Shreveport. So the way to best set up this system is a board in Shreveport, one in Baton Rouge, and one in New Orleans. And then I've asked Kyle, which I haven't gotten him on board yet, to put his in the system. He can have just as many appointments to the board as me, and we give up control and let each board hire their director. It'll bring in private money, but more importantly, it'll give the local sense of that local community supporting the museums in their region. And their money's not going to New Orleans or going to Shreveport because somebody's got more political stroke. It's the right thing to do. And if we can get Kyle to agree, I will give up control and we'll pass legislation. Each board will hire their own director. And then we will have just over each board will appoint somebody and we'll get the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the secretary of state to appoint a board member that just goes to fight for their budget to get approved for those three boards. A volunteer board that would oversee and approve their budget, but also by giving the governor a seat, maybe the Speaker of the House, the head of the Senate, gives a little political stroke to start funding the museums like other states do, because we've been operating with cut budgets every year. And we've done some great improvements and some great exhibits because the team has done a really good job. But we've got a lot of work to do. Something else we wanted to do, over the years, they've given back local museums to local government. They have no money. We've got a lot of great museums where people sit there waiting for people to walk through the door. Well, this was part of our plan that we've rolled out early to help these communities. We bought the name LouisianaMuseums.com. We are going around filming every museum in the state. I think there's 211. So you know about the World War II Museum. If you go to buy a ticket or you go online and look at, you'll know about Chenault and all the other military museums. If you want to know about movies, you'll know about Bonnie and Clyde Museum. So we're going to make sure we put this plan together to where every museum, and then we'll start putting some money behind pushing it out to people that want to go to history museums around the country. So we'll draw people here to every corner of the state, to all these hidden treasures around Louisiana. Another real opportunity to get us, and it will help those museums start getting people in there, hopefully making some money, and inspire people to get more involved in our system. And each board would be in charge of helping those museums in their region that aren't affiliated with the state board, but would support them with grants and things to make sure we have a successful museum system all over the state. So this is something I'm passionate about trying to get done. I don't know if we'll do it this year, but surely by next year, hopefully we can get Kyle to join forces and make this the best it can be. 2 years ago, we got Keep Louisiana Beautiful moved under my office. And for a year, I kind of beat my head against the wall trying to get a lot of people involved. And I want to thank the governor for putting the task force together under my office, because it really got wildlife, fisheries, and all the state agencies that maybe didn't think it was an important issue, made them focus on really helping us clean up the state. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'll tell you, I'm very encouraged. On a normal year, Love the Boot Week would see 30 to 40 groups. Last year, 330 groups cleaned up Louisiana. And every fourth Saturday, we get emails, look what we did in Westwego, in Covington, in Shreveport. Groups out there every week cleaning up. But we've got a lot of work to do. When I was parish president, I put 20 garbage cans on a can on an angle on every road leading to Highway 23. 90% of the garbage went in and around those cans. Now, we had to clean them up 4 or 5 times a week. We're giving out grants to local municipalities. Want to put those in hot areas? They just got to agree to empty them. And we're asking all of these strip malls and shopping centers and Walmart, put the garbage cans back in the parking lot and empty them. I think Cracker Barrel is the only one that has garbage cans about any 20 feet. You never see garbage in their parking lot. We're asking every business to go out in front of their business and clean up the highway. And I tell you, we can do this if we all get involved. I ask every elected official to go speak in the schools. I spoke to 3rd graders in Alexandria, gave them a free pass to the parks to bring their family. But I told them, I want you to go home, and if you catch your parents littering, I want you to tell them you're going to call the lieutenant governor. I had one lady call the office. Did you tell my son to call you? I said, yes, ma'am. We're going to embarrass him into cleaning up. And look, we just did an agreement with the DARE program. We bought 50,000 bags. They're going to teach, along with teaching about drugs, they're going to teach about litter, and they're going to give out those bags and take them, tell them to bring it home and tell their parents to put it in the car and don't litter. Cleaning out the back of pickup trucks. My wife gets mad at me because when I get out the shopping center, I look in the back of a pickup truck. If there's trash, I write a little note from the lieutenant governor. I put it on the windshield, please. She goes, you're going to get killed. But it's going to take that effort to make people realize that stuff's blowing out on the highway. Rick Moore, who now works for me, is going around the state, meeting with municipalities, setting up litter court. The Justice of Peace can write a ticket. Wildlife and Fishery, you can take a picture of the back of a car and send it in. If they don't show up for litter court, they're going to get that ticket in the mail. Less than 18% of people actually litter, and we pay the price for it. So this is something we can do. I'm very encouraged, the change in attitude from the state agencies. DOTD is picking up trash 10 minutes on the job site. Wildlife and Fishery is now answering the hotline, and we respond to every complaint. As a matter of fact, DEQ cleaned up, I think, 22 tire dump sites, put cameras out. We're catching the repeat offenders. And we just also gave grants to Wildlife and Fishery for more cameras to hotspots for them. And we're giving out grants to every sheriff. Some sheriffs need a van so they can take work release, and they'll clean up their whole parish. We're buying that van for them. We don't want to take money away from fighting crime, but they got work release that they can help us. So we're asking those sheriffs, tell us what you need to help you clean up. This is something we can all do. It's something everybody can get on board, and this is a little commercial we rolled out to get people excited going into the new year.
It's a little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's a little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's a little light of mine.
Louisiana, it's time to put the paradise back in our sportsman's paradise. Visit LetLouisianaShine.org to keep Louisiana beautiful.
So we're looking for new ideas and things we need to do. This is something we're going to keep our foot on the gas until Louisiana is clean. So appreciate your help in that. One other agency I wanted to give a shout out is Volunteer Louisiana. The 10,000 volunteers and nonprofit and faith-based groups that make up Volunteer Louisiana, AmeriCorps, has done incredible work. In normal times, which we haven't seen lately with the storms, we build wheelchair ramps, paint senior homes, but lately it's been hurricane recovery. Everything from removing trees out of yards, muck and gutting homes, or even rebuilding. And the thing I'm most proud of, from someone that I was retired when I ran for parish president. Me and my wife rode out Katrina 14 miles from the eye because we had horses for a special needs riding center that we did. The greatest thing I've ever done with my life, taking those kids out of a wheelchair, placing them back on horses. We rescued 34 people by airboat and thousands of animals, and I never saw a politician, so I got mad and ran for office. So this organization is personal to me, that we stay the course until everyone's back in their home, long after the TV cameras are gone. And to date, for these last two hurricanes, we had 18,336 cases. And to give you an idea, these volunteer organizations will go to that site, download, like the Baptist ministries have chainsaw crews. They'll take down the people that need trees, go do it, mark it, task complete, and log back in. 18,336 cases. We've closed out 10,356 cases, about 56%. So we still got a lot more work to do. But this organization does great work with a lot of great people. And a lot of these volunteers, AmeriCorps, from out of state. They put their life on hold to come here and help out. Just incredible volunteers. This thing has grown every year. More people signing up. And I'm just proud of everybody that gives their time to do this. Last but not least, and you may have seen this before, it's my favorite. We have won all kind of awards for our plans coming out of COVID. We just won an award for those 2 parades. First time a state ever had floats in a parade. But what better way to set ourselves aside from other states than with the second most recognized song in the world, next to Happy Birthday, You Are My Sunshine. The governor's voice didn't quite get it for us. So we took another great Louisiana ambassador that we teamed up 5 years ago, and it's been a great asset for our marketing and tourism, Lauren Daigle. And we re-recorded it with her voice. It's so beautiful that she's going to put it on her next album, and it just won an international award for the best plan coming out of COVID. Take a look. And we set it to the great outdoors of Louisiana because we know people are going to get around and see the great outdoors.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You come to Louisiana for smiles, not souvenirs. You come here to get lifted up, spun around, and put down in a brighter, lighter place. You make me happy when skies are gray. You come here for the distinctive music and the amazing food. But what really spills out of the horns and over the edges of your plate is joy. Some people might call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine away. So come live life to the fullest, where there's an abundance of good food, good music, and good times. So there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. This is Lauren Daigle, inviting you to come feed your soul in Louisiana. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Thank y'all so much for having me. Any questions? Be nice. Any questions? Yes.
I know you touched on this at the beginning. Could you say a little bit more about the cost of those floats and the metrics you use to be so confident that it's worth the money? I think you mentioned like X number of people might see the break. How do you know that there's a conversion?
So we monitor people that go to our website and how long they stay there. Last year, and we were it's $1.3 million for 3 years. That's a commitment. We got beat up on by some people that said you'll never get your money out of it. But there's an agency that we measure everything we do to return on investment. Some better than others. We knocked it out the park, 50-1. And what it does, a TV commercial, if you look at it and you don't go to the website and book a trip, it does you no good. It's got to be something that gets people excited. These floats, both of them, was far greater than we ever imagined. We got our money back tenfold the first year with 2 years lanyard on Macy's. Rose Parade, I think it was a $20 million the first year value, cost us $700,000. This year, I think it's around $400,000. It's got no doubt it will blow it out the water. It was a risk, because when I said we're going to do it, they said, well, there's a reason another state hasn't done it before. So what's the reason? Well, we don't know. Well, maybe they just didn't ask. So it was a risk, and there was a lot of naysayers early on that said you'll never, you're doing this because you want to be in the parade, or no, we want to do things. And look, there's a million ideas. When we mailed every Canadian travel agent the Zazarak glass, and we stood there and showed them how to mix the drink and said, the beer's cold and the gumbo's hot. When you can travel, we're waiting for you in Louisiana. We did it in Germany, France, through social media. I thought that wasn't as good. I mean, it didn't cost us no money, but that was unbelievable. As soon as they could travel again, they were booking trips to Louisiana because somebody on our team had that idea that kept them engaged. July 1st, we lit up the Superdome in the Governor's Mansion, red and white. Those pictures made it all over Canada. We're thinking about you on Canadian Day. All those little things keeping them engaged, but nothing's had the return as these two floats has had. It's been a home run for Louisiana.
And when you say 50 to 1, that's like dollar value?
Yeah, and they've got a whole metrics through this agency that monitors that for us, that we can get you all those things that I don't understand. I look at the bottom line, but they can get you all the people that went to the site. And I'll tell you, last year, except for New Orleans, we had, in some areas, double-digit increase in Mardi Gras. And since I got elected, I committed to promote Mardi Gras all over Louisiana. And for the last several years, family-friendly, affordable Mardi Gras in every corner of the state. We saw people land in Dallas from Germany and go watch them throw hot dogs in Shreveport. There were people from Australia in Morgan City and Houma. So we are getting a bang for our buck from Mardi Gras. It's growing all over this state because it's affordable, and a lot of people don't want to bring their kids to the French Quarter. So we're letting them know about Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles. So we're excited that now that we're promoting. And that started because I had a conference in New Orleans with the lieutenant governors when I first got elected. I said, y'all need to come back for Mardi Gras. We're not bringing our kids to the French Quarter. So we have Mardi Gras in other parts of the state. They didn't know it. So from that moment on, we started marketing family-friendly, safe, affordable Mardi Gras. And we're seeing the increase all over Louisiana, especially the drive market to North Louisiana, where people didn't even know it went on. So it definitely has a return on investment for us.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes, sir.
Is the question of international tourism. What are the numbers on international tourism? Because that has fluctuated dramatically. And the doing things like the train on the Gulf Coast and so forth to give people more things to do.
Right, absolutely. Listen, the three things that we've been trending the wrong way, especially in New Orleans, is crime, cleanliness, and new attractions. And new attractions are so important, and that's why we made the attempt to try to get the French Quarter and manage it under a group that would have those three things in mind and focus on making that the jewel it needs to be. Because so goes a quarter in New Orleans, it affects tourism for the whole state. And so we really need to get a handle on that. But the international market, we've been traveling and meeting with tour operators. And we find when we go in person, it takes a little bit more work. But we go over there and bring a jazz band, and we give out and talk about all the things, and we bring our travel partners from all over the state. Lafayette sells Lafayette. Baton Rouge sells Baton Rouge. It has a great impact. They feel connected. Then they start booking people to come to this state. And we bring some of the private industry, Homer's House, Tabasco, some of the great products from Louisiana. It's been so successful, we just got a grant, a federal grant, for $300,000 a year for 3 years to market in 3 markets we've never marked: India, Italy, and Spain. Yeah, see, I remember. So for the next 3 years, we will have an agent in those 3 foreign countries because we never had the money to really market worldwide. So we got a $300,000 grant for 3 years to market it because we've done such a good job at increasing our international market from France, Germany, Canada. And we had a trip planned to Australia prior to COVID that got canceled. And the reason we were going to Australia is I was at a conference and South Dakota got up and said our #1 international market is Australia. And I'm thinking, what the hell's in South Dakota? So afterwards I went up to talk to her and I said, why is Australia? She goes, because I'm the only one that goes there. It's so far. And where we going? We bring a little Cajun cooking over there, they'll be coming. So it's a long trip. And so we're going to get back on track to go there, because when we bring these incredible tourism folks from around the state, look, you know we got the best food, music. It's the people. We welcome strangers into our home. You leave Louisiana with a friend for life. So when we can take people from Louisiana over there, they just say, we got to go get some of that in Louisiana. So it's a little bit more work, and we got a great team around the state that leaves their family at home and makes those trips. But that's made the difference in every year we've seen these increases.
And just last question, sir, if you just want to close out and tell us about 2023.
So, you know, I got the best job in the world, and I love what I do. We are going to take a poll December 10th, and my birthday is January 10th. I'll be making a decision by that date. I love this state, and we've got to have a governor that's going to roll up his sleeves and absolutely do everything physically possible to get us off the bottom of all these lists. And as I said before, Ronald Reagan always said we can do great things if we don't care who gets credit. It's going to take a governor. The next governor ain't going to get credit for fixing the education system because it takes 7 to 9 years. Just like these bridges, they never get started because you want credit. The $2 billion in levees being built in Plaquemines took me a year and a half fighting in Washington. I didn't get none of the credit. The guys in office now do, but that's okay. That's the kind of commitment we need. And so we'll take a poll and see if there's a path for us to get elected. And then hopefully by then the feel will be, but it's got to be something that somebody that loves this state more than they love the job or wanting to be the governor. And I'm hoping there'll be a lot of good people running and we can elect, whether it's me or someone else, that really does it for the right reasons, because we surely need that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.